everyone. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to an impromptu live stream here at the Jayda InStitches show. I thought since I had to sit and make some appliques for the Unblanket project, the last one of the year, our 12th, the canvas pattern and the video will be up on Friday. But ahead of that, I have some little appliques I needed to make for that, and I thought, why not sit and do it with all of you? So if you've got nothing else to do and you want a little company and you're maybe working on a project or two yourself, grab yourself a cup of coffee or possibly even a cup of eggnog. 'Tis the season. Get yourself comfortable and let's hang out and do a little crochet. Right off the bat, there was a membership milestone from Jessica Rabbit. Hello, Ms. Rabbit. In the house says, wee, dancing in excitement. I am so happy to hear that. It is so nice to be able to sit and just hang out. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad so many of you can join me this afternoon. If you've got to pop in or pop out, as usual, that's cool. If anything of any interest happens in today's live stream, I'll make sure there's a chapter noting it in the little chapter section. I'm going to try and get to about 3 different kinds of appliques. They're all appliques we've done here before on the show, so the original tutorials will be linked in the description box. If you want to see them sort of in their original format. But today I am sizing things down. So I've got some smaller hooks here with my yarn needle, scissors, and my stitch marker. I may or may not need it. I've went and found some thinner yarn. So I'm looking for my lightweight size 3, even the smaller stuff. If I'm feeling sassy, I might even get into my crochet thread. So I have some smaller hooks. This is a B. That's a 2.25 millimeter. I might use that for the super small like lace work if I get to it, but I'm planning on primarily using my 3.25 millimeter. This is a D hook. It also might be a 3 millimeter for some people. I think D covers about a 1/4 centimeter in change depending on the manufacturer. So that's the one I'm going to sort of start with today. I've got some size 3-ish yarn. Most of this is acrylic. I think this is cotton. But it doesn't matter because these are little appliques that are going on my Unblanket canvas, and the canvas is going to be like a kind of like a spot wash thing. So I probably won't be tossing it in the washing machine. So I'm not too worried about my yarns acting strangely down the road. So I don't mind mixing fibers for this. I'm going to start with my little Christmas present applique. This is one we did on the channel a while ago. I can't even remember the exact year, but it was a few years ago, and it makes in a size 4 cotton yarn. It makes a really cute coaster, but I want to size it right down and use it as a little applique, so I'm making smaller versions of things. So I'm going to start with that. I have a cup of coffee ready to go. We've got our friends here hanging out. There's Beth with a membership milestone. Hello, Beth. Beth says, hi all, making a blanket, primary colors and white. Oh, that sounds bright and cheerful. I like the primary colors together. They have a real bold sort of scholastic, makes me think of the Scholastic Book Club thing. Oh, I love that. Marvelous. All right, I'm going to jump right in. So this is the little Christmas present. I'm going to make a few of them. These are all very small, quick to make kind of projects. I'm going to get my smaller hook out of the way and just get ready to go here. So I don't need the white just yet. This is all made in one go. So the little present starts with sort of the center. So I guess I do need my white first. And then we build the rest of the present off the middle. So here we go. Nice and simple. I'm going to take my white yarn. This is the ribbon that wraps around my present. So technically any color you wanted to make your ribbon, that's the color you would start with. I'm going to chain 13. And then I'm going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So I'm skipping the first chain, this one here, half double crocheting into the second chain, half double crocheting all the way back. That gives me 12 stitches in total. Rosie's busy making Minecraft characters. I went on a real run of making those for a while, several years ago when we were really playing the game heavily. And they were so fun to make. I still enjoy making them. I like to design them and make them because anything video game pixel oriented is like, I like crocheting that kind of stuff. It's fun. Half double crochet into every single chain. That puts me all the way back at the top with 12. So there we go. Let me see. I'm going to chain one and turn. So I want this to be kind of like a wide-ish ribbon. I think I'm only going to use, so chain one and turn. I'm still using the half double crochet. I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch all the way back. So it's a nice wide, pretty white ribbon that runs up the front of my Christmas gift. So I'm still going to have 12 stitches at the end of row 2, but that's it for my white yarn for now. I will be repeating, I should say revisiting my white yarn in a little while. Grandma says she doesn't have the attention span to make an entire blanket yet. You know what? If you don't, but you kind of are angling towards it, just make it in small amounts. Like if you're making granny squares, you can kind of work away at them anytime you want, store them in a little bin, and then when you really feel like putting together a blanket, you can come pull them all out of the bin and assemble them into a blanket at a later date. That's kind of how I started. Okay, I have half double crocheted in every single stitch all the way back. I'm going to fasten off now, so that's it for the white yarn for now. And I can weave in my tails, or I can just sort of work over top of them, which I think is what I'm going to do. So let me grab now my present color. I'm going to make a slip knot. I'm going to join with a slip stitch on the first stitch of row 2. That's where I fastened off. So I'm going to just turn around, join right here. Chain one and half double crochet in the same stitch. So half double crochet. I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch all the way up. So I'll still have 12 stitches. And now I'm just building out the sides of my little gift. So this is a pretty tall gift. And based on how big this is, I'm going to try and make one even smaller after I finish with this one. Hello, Deanna. Deanna's in the house. Deanna's been a member for 30 months. Thank you, Deanna. Deanna says, hi-oh, my canvas is Christmas themed in teals and pink. Now that is pretty. That's got kind of a retro feel to it, teal and pink Christmas. I like it. I like it a lot. Chain one turn, half double crochet in every stitch all the way across for 2 more rows. So rows 4 and 5, half double crochet, chain one turn, half double crochet all the way across. So building out the side of the gift, this is going to be a tall present. I'm going to make a shorter one because I think I'd like one that's kind of on the squarish side as well. Barbara's wondering what's on my Christmas wish list this year. I have, you know what? There's a lot of things on my wish list. I guess the most pressing thing would be, this might surprise some of you, but I'm looking forward to getting a Steam machine or a Steam Deck. It's a video game thing, for those of you who don't know what that is. It's kind of allows me to play video games anywhere in my house off of a particular account, which is great because I have a dog that insists on sitting in my lap and I can't sit at the computer very much. So the other nerdy side of me would like one of those. I would also really like a Cricut machine. I have not gotten a Cricut machine yet. I've been kind of eyeballing them. And I mostly just want time to get through my pile of projects that I want to work on. I have a lot of sewing projects I want to get to. I have a lot of knitting and crochet projects I want to get to. So mostly I just want time. That's what's on my wish list. How about all of you? What's on your wish list this year? Okay, so that is rows 3, 4, and 5. I am not chaining one. I am fastening off and I'm weaving in the ends on this side. Actually, I'll weave in the end. Yeah, you know what? I will weave in the ends. So that's my back. I'm just going to quickly flip it over and weave in that little green tail. This makes very nice. I will measure all of these little appliques at the end so that you've got an idea of how sort of small they size down. I'm not too worried about the back because again, this is an applique. Then I'm going to do exactly what I just did here on the other side. So 6, 7, and 8, half double crochet. And I'm going to join right here with a slip stitch, chain one and half double crochet in the same place that I joined. And I'm going to half double crochet in the next 11 stitches. So 12 in total. So that's 12, chain 1 turn, and 2 more rows of just half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So Dawn wants a cricket. Ms. Rabbit is saving up for hers. I know, me too. Me too. I'm saving up for it. Peggy wants a laptop. Yes, crickets are really expensive, Joanna. That's kind of why I've been eyeballing them, but I haven't gotten one because you know what else? They keep coming out with different versions, and I'm like, well, now I don't know which one I want. I'm not sure which one would suit my needs because I've never actually played with a cricket before. So I don't want to overspend and get one I really don't need, and I also don't want to underspend and then be like, oh, this doesn't do all the things that I really want to do with it. So I'm really, well, I'm watching a lot of videos. I'm watching people's reviews. That's my favorite thing to do. If I'm thinking about buying something, I love to sit down and watch people's reviews. Boy, is that ever helpful. Dawn wants more yarn. Barbara says, do you watch Stranger Things? You need to do a tutorial on a Demogorgon. No, I have never seen Stranger Things. I don't have Netflix. I think that's on Netflix, right? No, I haven't seen that, and I don't know what a Demogorgon is. Sounds funny, though. Ms. Wendy says, I have 3 items on my wish list. 2 of them are definitely not going to happen, so not worth thinking about. The other one is an Apple Pencil for my iPad. Rogue says, all I want for Christmas is yarn and more yarn. You know what I think? I think it's like, I definitely have things on my wish list that I may not get immediately, but that doesn't mean that I don't take them off the wish list. I leave them there because you never know. Oh, the camera just flicked out. Now, why did it do that? Hang on, everybody. Let me just check on the camera here. For some reason, it is acting up. Yeah, I know. Oh, yep, there we are. We're back. Okay. Just a loose connection. Sorry about that, everybody. We're back. We're back. It's the puppy. She gets very rambunctious, and then she kind of knocks over connections. I'll blame her. Grandma says, Jayda, how can you knit with RA? I had you teach me to crochet so I could use smaller hooks the same size as knitting needles because of the ergonomic hooks. I just take my time. It depends on the needles I'm using. If I'm knitting, like I've often, when I use the really long needles, I kind of ram them into the couch cushions next to me, and then like I don't have to hold them and wrap the yarn at the same time. I don't know. I think like when you have a bit of a handicap, and I'm going to use that like I would in a golf term, you just kind of learn to work around it. Like you know, like for example, I have most of my pain is in my wrist. So instead of being able to really rotate my wrist like I used to, I now do a whole lot more thumb twisting. Sometimes the thumb twisting is what hurts. So I just lock my hand in place and I just move my whole arm. It's a bit cumbersome, but I get used to it and I just slow down. And because if you have RA, you know that the pain can move around. It can like one day it can really be bad in your wrist, another day it can be really bad in your fingers. So if you, like my great old aunts used to say, if you don't use it, you lose it. So they'd be sitting there knitting with their gnarled up fingers and their great big knobby knuckles, but they never stopped. And it's just, you just do what you can. So if you have to move a lot slower than you're used to, it's frustrating, but it doesn't mean you can't still knit or crochet or do the things you love. So listen to your body. You don't max yourself out to the point where you can't move, but you know, slow down, be gentle on yourself. You can still keep doing it. You might just have to find another way around it. A little sip of my coffee. Do I knit a lot? Says Ms. Wendy. Yeah, I don't talk about it. Actually, you know what? I don't knit as much as I used to, obviously, because I'm so busy crocheting things here with you guys and you know, constantly sort of designing new things for the channel. But yes, I still like to knit when I have the time. Nothing super complicated. I just really like I know this is going to sound funny, but my favorite way of knitting is the double pointed needles to make like mittens and stuff. If I'm studying something, so if I'm, you know, busy working on a course or something and I'm studying something, I find the best way for me to retain information is to knit in the round, knitting mittens. Because it's just kind of, it's quasi mindless, but also that the even tick tick and the going around of the needles and the feel of it, sort of like I have them kind of tucked in between my fingers and everything. It just kind of helps me remember stuff for some reason. I don't know if that might just be me. We all kind of are able to retain information in very different ways, but I haven't had to do that in a while. All right, so weaving in my tails, there is the base of my little present. So let's see how far this is. Ooh, 6.5 centimeters, or about 2.5 inches tall by 2.5 inches wide, about 6 centimeters wide. It's a little taller than it is wide. And now I'm going to add a ribbon. So I'm going to get the same yarn out, and I'm going to sip my coffee. Okay. Okay, Grandma Kim. So Kim, it's Kim M. Soon to be great Grandma Kim. Congratulations. Okay, so you changed your name. That's great. That's fine. I can see you're still Kim there. That's good to know. Thank you. Okay, let's make ourselves a bow. I'm going to use my white again. I'm going to make a slip knot and chain 41 because I'm actually going to tie a little bow. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. All right, there's 41. I'm going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and I'm going to single crochet in each chain all the way across. So that'll give me a small row of single crochet. There'll be 40 stitches, and that's it. This is me making a little bow. And this is just going to get attached to the top end of the present, and I will not be sewing this part down to the actual canvas. I like a lot of three-dimensional things. Like in this past year, as we've been making the canvases, I've really explored different ways of sewing down appliques, and I've really been enjoying that. And sometimes I just like that three-dimensional feel where, like, say, flower petals kind of sit up off of the canvas. They don't get sewn down, so there's like a little bit of a three-dimensional texture thing happening. So I'm going to make this little bow as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to just tack it using a little bit of yarn to the top of the present, and that'll be a nice sized gift. I think that's like one of the bigger sized presents. I might try and make one a little bit smaller. You can vary, obviously, the height. You could make this entire thing a lot smaller by using the single crochet stitch instead of the half double crochet stitch. I'm going to try that next, and I'm going to try it with red. So I've worked all the way back. I'm going to fasten off. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't leave a long tail for sewing on my green present. So what I should have done, instead of snipping off that tail and weaving it in, I should have left a long tail to sew it down, but that's okay. I've got plenty of this. I can just sew it down where I need to with an external strand of yarn. So it doesn't have to be directly connected to the present, but in the next one I will leave a long tail for sewing. I got carried away with my finishing off my ends and making everything look neat and tidy. everybody. If you're just joining us, it's kind of an impromptu live stream on a Wednesday. Didn't plan it, but I realized I had to sit here and work on some appliques for the unblanket, the video coming this Friday, and I thought, why not sit at the table and hang out with all of you while I do a little bit of crochet. Everything I'm doing is sort of a sized down version of one of the appliques we've already got. So right now I'm working on my little Christmas presents, and then I'm going to be working on, if I have time and I get to it, I'm going to try and get to some Christmas lights. I want to make a bunch of those, and possibly even some little birds. So we will see. I might just trim up this because those are not necessary. There's a little bit of an edge. Okay. Then you take your ribbon and you fold it into a bow. So I want to fold it over at the middle. There we go. And then just attach it up top. And I'm going to use a little bit of, just a smidgen of yarn. I'm going to anchor it right through the middle of the bow where the bow is folded. So I'm going to come from the back all the way, making sure I get all the pieces of the bow. Leave a little tail out the back. And then I'm going to hop over a stitch. I want to make sure that I get, that's the whole thing, all the way back through. And then I'm going to tie those two ends together on the back. And that is a nice three-dimensional effect for this little present. So when I sew down the present to the rest of the canvas, I'll be sewing along the edge of the square only. I won't be touching the little bow. So the bow will kind of just sort of sit out there in a three-dimensional feeling. So there's my little present. I like that. If I want, I can sort of tack down the ends if I don't want them rolling up, but I'll make that decision when I've got the whole canvas laid out and I'm working on that. Hello, Linda. Welcome back to the family. Welcome back. Thank you. Okay. That is one green present. So I think before I jump to a smaller version, maybe I will. I'll do a smaller version. I'm going to do one in pink, I think. I'm going to use same white for the ribbon, but I'm going to go with pink for the rest of the present. I'm going to try and size it down again. So instead of using the half double crochet stitch, I'm going to use the single crochet stitch. So same stitch count, just with a smaller stitch. So I'm going to chain 13. And then instead of half double crocheting in the second chain from the hook, I'm just going to single crochet. So I'm sizing everything down with the stitch, not just the size of my hook. So the first present used half double crochet, the second one will use single crochet, but I'm not changing the stitch count. So we'll see how much the present shape and size varies. And I'm guessing it's going to be a bit smaller, a little narrower, but maybe just as tall. So that's fine. Chain one turn and single crochet in every stitch all the way back. So narrower but taller. I kind of like that idea. Deanna says, hey Jada, what do you think about the quilt-inspired granny square blankets? I love them and they are great scrap busters. Yes, we did one. What was it? Was it the 2020 or the 2020? Our 2020 calendar blanket was the patchwork calendar blanket. I made up 12 great big, basically granny squares, solid double crochet granny squares that were all inspired by different patchwork designs. I loved that. That was a lot of fun. I made actually 2 or 3 of every single one of those squares, and I have one entire blanket put together. That was the calendar blanket, and then I have at least another 12 to 20 of the other squares, the other colored patchwork squares. I haven't done anything with them yet, so I might pull them out and do something with them. So that's the middle part, and now I'm going to use pink. So this is going to be a pink wrapped gift. This is also a pretty thin little size 3 yarn, and I'm single crochet. I'm going to join with a single crochet since that's easy to do. And I'm going to do 3 rows of single crochet instead of half double crochet. So single crochet in each stitch. I'll still have 12 stitches in each row. It's just going to be a narrower package than the first one. So about as tall, but it should be narrower. Dawn's got to warm up her coffee. I think it's a great idea. I might do the same. I think we still have some coffee in the pot. No, the star quilts, but granny squares. The star quilts, star quilts, but granny squares. Star quilts, but granny squares. If you can, send me a picture at the Etsy shop. I'm not totally sure. I am not sure I've seen what you've seen. Hi, Vima. Vima's here. I'd love to see the other ones you made, Wendy. Oh my goodness gracious. Tracy, thank you for picking up a pattern. So I'm doing 3 rows of single crochet. This is going to make a nice tall and narrow present. I might do just a row of slip stitching for the ribbon as opposed to a row of single crochet, again because I'm trying to size everything down a little bit. So that is 3 rows of single crochet. Yeah, that's nice and narrow. So on this side I will snip my yarn short and weave in the tail. On the other side I will leave the tail long so that I can actually sew it to the canvas. So I'm going to weave that little tail in. Then on this side I'm going to do 3 rows of single crochet, but I'm leaving a long tail, and I'm saying this out loud twice so that I don't forget. Ah, thank you. I will look at that a little later. There we go. Oh, I should have joined with a single crochet. Join with a single crochet. There we go. Okay, so single crochet in each foundation chain now of what was row 1 all the way across. I should still have 12 stitches, but they are single crochets, not half double crochets. Whatever amendments I make to my original patterns, I'll leave little notes on what I did today in the description box. So if you're back a little later on and you want to try a couple of these things, the notes will be in the box. There are, I'll also indicate sort of the hook size and stuff I used too, just in case you want to try it yourself. Maria's making a mini tree skirt. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Diane says, Jada, are you making a Christmas tree ornaments? I will be making some more Christmas tree ornaments this year. Right now, I'm making appliques for my 2025 December calendar unblanket canvas, which the video for that will be up this Friday. So I thought since I had to sit and make a bunch of these, I would hang out with all of you guys. Hi, Regina. Welcome, welcome. If you're just dropping in, the title of the live stream says it all. I am downsizing, so I'm shrinking some existing applique project sort of designs that I've got so that I can make some slightly smaller versions of them for my unblanket. And you guys will be able to see how it all comes together on Friday. So there we go. There's 3 rows of single crochet. So I use single crochet instead of the half double crochet. It's quite a bit narrower. I'm going to leave some tail for sewing. Don't think I need too much. There we go. So this time I remember to leave the tail. And I'm also going to make a ribbon. So see how this one is, it's about as tall, but it's a little narrower. I kind of like that. I like presents that are different shapes and sizes. Looks a little more true to life. I'm going to chain the same number, 41, but then I'm going to slip stitch. Actually, you know what? I'm going to chain a few less. I think I'll do 35. Now, what happens if I just use this instead of slip stitching? That might be good too. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to chain. I'm going to chain. I'll leave the little tails on until I've got it stitched down. And same thing, I'm going to curl this one. So lay it flat and curl each end in on top of itself across the middle. And then, yeah, I'll stitch that into the middle with a, so let me just, I'm going to trim up these little ends. There we go. And then with a very small little bit of yarn, get that threaded up in here. There we go. And I'm going to use that as my middle. There we go. I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to make sure I bring my needle through everything. So I get through the back of that. I get through both. Oops. Got to make sure I leave some on the back there. Back and both sides. Keep my finger on one side. There we go. And reposition. I want to make sure I get I don't want to go through the same place on the way out as I came in. There we go. And like I said, when I get this stitched down onto the canvas, I can decide if I want to sort of pin down any of the little ends of the ribbon just to make them a little less 3D or a little more. It depends on what I want. So there we go. That is present number 2. So I've got both of these are made with a DK weight yarn and a 3.25 millimeter hook, or the D hook. And this one is made with half double crochet. This one is made with single crochet. And that is quite a bit of a difference. So they're the same height, which is about, what did I say, 2.5 inches, 6 centimeters. So 6 centimeters, 2.5 and a bit. What's that? 2 and a quarter-ish high. This one is 2.5 wide. This one is 1 3/4 wide. So not even quite 4.5 centimeters wide. So there's a bit of a difference, quite a bit of a difference between the half double crochet and the single crochet. So that's 2 nice size gifts. So that's 2. Now these are much smaller than the original ones. The original ones I made, I used a cotton for starters because I was making coasters. But I used a size 4 medium weight yarn and a 5.5 millimeter hook, or the I9, and they wind up being like 3.5 inches wide by 4 inches tall, so quite a bit bigger, almost double this size. And that's just using the smaller hook. So I really like those. I think that's a nice couple of sized gifts, and they're different. I may make one more if I have the time that's like kind of small and square, in which case I'll probably use, I like the half double crochet, so I might use the half double crochet stitch again, but instead of starting with 13 chains, I might start with 11. So just make it a little bit shorter, and I may use half double crochet, I may use single crochet. I'm not sure. I'll see what I need when I'm doing layout. So there we go. There's 2 presents made. Let's jump to the next one. I wanted to make a couple of Christmas lights too. Like I said, the original tutorials for the little appliques I'm going to try and get to today, they're all linked in the description box down below. So if you want to see them in their original size with their original hook and everything, then that's there for you. But I'm trying to size everything down a little bit today. Have a little sip of my coffee and check out the chat. Have I missed anything? Hello, hello. Everybody's working on some stuff. This is great. Brenda got her calendar blanket done. Awesome! I love this. This is great. Ms. Rabbit's working on a new Mighty Mile a Minute blanket. It's going to be gorgeous. Grandma Kin's been crocheting her fingers off. I bet you have been. All right, let me get into the little lights. So for the lights, I'm going to use this blue yarn, and I want a little bit of gray yarn too. So I think I'm going to try and keep things neat and tidy as I go. A little bit of gray yarn. I think I have a fairly thin, this is a pretty thin gray. That's nice. That's a thin gray too. I'll use this one. I'm going to put my white yarn in here, get it out of the way, and I'm going to use this very, very thin blue. This is a size 2, so it's a super lightweight, not quite fingering weight. It's very close. It's right in between the 1 and the 3. So it's like a baby yarn. So I'm going to try and make a Christmas light out of it because it's got this little bit of like a satin thread that runs through it, which gives it just a little bit of sheen. I kind of like that. So I'm going to try that. First, I'm going to make the light, and then I'm going to add the little metal kind of cap to it, the part that screws into the little light fixture. And if this feels too thin, then I might switch to a different blue, but let's see how this, you're not even going to be able to see this, I just realized, against my table. Can you even see this? Maybe I should try a slightly different, you know what, let me change of plans. Let me grab, I'll use a little purple. Let's start with this. So this is also a lightweight size 3 yarn, and let me just make sure I don't tangle things up. There we go. Okay, we'll do this one instead. So I'm still using my 3.25 millimeter hook. It's the D hook, and I'm going to make the Christmas light first. So I'm going to chain 2 to begin. Second crochet, I should say single crochet into the second chain from the hook. That's row 1, chain 1 turn. We start at the bottom and kind of work our way up. 2 single crochet into this first stitch. Chain 1 turn, 2 single crochet into each of those 2 stitches, so I'll have 4 stitches. So there's 2, and then 2 in this one, chain 1 turn, and for row 4 I'm going to single crochet twice into the first and the last stitch, and just single crochet once into each of the middle 2 stitches. Brenna's asking me if I've made a Moses basket before. No, I have not. I've made a lot of baskets, but I have not made a Moses basket. That's the one that's got kind of like it's like a little bassinet, right? It's got like a little kind of a handle, and it's got like a little sun cover. Those are really cute. Rows 5, 6, and 7, it's just single crochet in each stitch all the way across. So chain 1 turn at the end of each row. This might be a little bit bigger than I want. We're going to find out. If this is too big, I might resort to making them out of my crochet thread. We shall see. And Rogue is asking if I've ever crocheted a weaver's window blanket. I don't know what that is. Is that a particular pattern? Is that a style of crochet? Weaver's window? I haven't, I don't know that one. I haven't come across that name. Yeah, I think this might be too big of a light for my purposes. I think it's cute, but I think it's going to be too big. But I'm going to finish it anyway so you guys can see the whole thing. So that is rows 1 through 7, chain 1 turn at the end of row 7, and then we're going to sort of make things a bit smaller. Single crochet the first 2 stitches together, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and single crochet the last 2 stitches together. So you're rounding out the top a little bit. Chain 1 turn, and then single crochet 2 stitches together twice. So you're not making it quite as small at the top as you have at the bottom. There we go. So that's the shape of the light so far, and then we want to single crochet kind of all the way around it to kind of even up the sides. So like you want to kind of smooth out the edges. Let's see here. We are going to, do I want to turn? No, I'm not going to turn. I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to single crochet down the edge. So single crocheting into the edge of each of these rows just to sort of smooth things out. It'll be about 8 single crochet all the way down. Then when I get into the bottom, I'm going to single crochet 3 times just to kind of turn the corner. It'll kind of smooth things out down there. And then I'm going to single crochet in each row edge all the way up the other side. And then I would slip stitch into the first stitch here, fasten off, and I'm leaving a tail so that I can sew it down. This is much bigger than I need it to be though. So I'm going to finish this one, but I already know it's too big for my purposes. I'm going to make them even smaller. Then I'm going to add a little gray cap to it. So same size yarn. This is about it's about a 3. So in the middle 2 stitches up top, there's 2 stitches in the middle. I'm going to join with a single crochet. And single crochet in the next stitch. So I'm only going to focus on the 2 middle stitches there. Chain 1 turn, single crochet in each stitch. Chain 1 turn and single crochet in each stitch. So you're just making like a little cap. And then if you were going to include all these in like a little bunting, you would just attach it to, as you were sort of crocheting or stringing, you would attach it up here. Fasten off. If I was going to sew this down, I would leave a little bit of tail. You know what? I will. I'll leave a little bit of tail just so I can sew that down, but I'm pretty sure I'll have to use this for another project. It is far too large for my purposes, but I will measure it and tell you how big it is in case it suits your purposes. Rogue says it's from Mary Maxim. Then no, I have not seen it. I haven't been to the Mary Maxim website in a while, actually. Is it on there right now? I don't typically do, like I haven't, if it's a kit, I have never really ordered a kit from anywhere. There we go. So that is my light. I'll just trim that little smidgen. There we go. Okay. So from top to bottom, this is 7 centimeters or 2.5 inches. It is almost 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches wide. So that is a decent sized little light for some project. And I mean, imagine a whole bunch of these all sort of strung together would be really cute. It's a good size, but it's too big for me. So I'm going to try and size this one down again. This is not too much smaller than the original. The original is made with a size 4 medium weight yarn and a 5.5 millimeter hook. So still a bigger hook, much bigger hook, and larger weight yarn. And it ends up being 6.5 centimeters or 2.5 inches tall by 3 centimeters or about 1.5 inches wide. So this is really not that much smaller than the original, which I think is interesting because I used quite a smaller hook. But I'm going to go even smaller. So I'm going to switch down to my B hook. This is my 2.25 millimeter. And I'm going to try with, let me see here. I've got some even smaller yarn. That's a nice pink. I've got blue. You know what? I'll use the blue. And I could make the caps kind of white, I guess. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be gray. So I'm going to size, this is much thinner yarn. We're now into the realm of lace. This is like a size 1 sock weight yarn or a size 1 crochet lace. It is very, very thin. I'm going to try the light again, but with this and the much smaller hook. So once again, that's the B or the 2.25 millimeters. So I'm sizing down again. I'm going to make the same little thing. It's this little light, but I'm going to make it even smaller. So here I go. Slip knot on hook, chain 2 to begin, and single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Chain 1 turn, 2 single crochet into that stitch. So we're growing from a little point at the bottom. Chain 1 turn, 2 single crochet in each of those stitches. Chain 1 turn, 2 single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the middle 2 stitches as normal, and 2 single crochet in the last stitch. And then for the next 3 rows, so chain 1 turn, single crochet in each stitch across for 3 rows. Yep, this is sizing down a little better. And depending on, so like I said, I'm going to have some notes on today's little miniature projects in the description box down below after today's live stream. So I'll have sort of sizes, I'll give you measurements and the hook and yarn that I use. So in case you're trying to replicate it or get something about the same size or go bigger or go smaller, you can kind of use all that information to kind of help you get to what you want. All right, single crochet the first 2 stitches together. Single crochet in the next 2, single crochet the last 2 stitches together. And again, it's the exact same pattern that I just did for this little guy. Single crochet 2 stitches together, single crochet 2 stitches together. And then chain 1, single crochet in each edge all the way down. Exact stitch count here doesn't matter, but it'll be like 8 stitches or so. And then in the bottom, I'm going to work 3 single crochet. I'm going to work over top of that little tail while I'm here. This just rounds out the corner down here, and then I'm going to single crochet in each row edge all the way back up the other side. Hello, hello. If you're just joining us, I'm sizing down some of my existing applique designs for my December unblanket project. That video will be up this Friday, but I thought while I sat and worked on them, I would sort of hang out with all of you guys. So welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, like I said, notes and original tutorial links will be in the description box if they're not there already. There we are, all sized down. I can fasten off and leave a tail on this one for sewing. And then I just want to join and make a little, so there, that's sized down considerably. I'm going to put the little cap on. So same size yarn. This is like a size 1 thread or a size 1 yarn. Joining with a single crochet in that first of the 2 middle stitches, single crochet in the next stitch. And then chain 1 turn, and you're just basically single crocheting in each of those 2 stitches for another 2 rows. And there we go. That's it. You can leave a little tail, and that's just for sewing down the little, what would be the metal part. I think that's a better size for my purposes. Let me just get that little tail woven in there. Back and forth and back and forth. And then we'll give it a measure. Okay, so that looks, get this out of the way, significantly smaller than the first one I made. I like that. It's big, but not too big. I think I'm going to make a bunch more using the size 1 yarn and my B hook. And this measures top to bottom 5 centimeters or 2 inches. And across it's 1 1/4 inches or 3 centimeters. So that is much smaller. That is a better size for me. So far I've sized down my original present is this pattern, but coaster size. So I've sized it down, and then I sized it down again by changing from a half double crochet to a single crochet. So same pattern, but I substituted the single crochet stitch, and I made it narrow, but it's just as tall. So that's 1 size down. And then this is a bit smaller than the original sized Christmas light from our original pattern, but not by a whole lot. Even though I used a much smaller hook than the original, and then I've sized it down again using the B hook and a size 1 yarn or thread. So this is better for my purposes. This is cute. I'm going to put it in my make-ahead stash. It's a nice size, but this is the one I need. So I'm going to make a few more of those a little later, probably today. And I've got one more little applique that I want to size down. So back in the spring of last year, we did a big wall hanging, a garden wall hanging, and one of many of the patterns we did, one of the little designs was a little miniature bird for our birdhouse, and I love birds, so I wanted to see if I could size down. It's a little guy just to begin with. He's barely 2 inches long, so I want to try and size him down even more. And let me just pop into the chat for a bit and see what's going on. Have I missed anything? Hello, hello. Kelly says, hey, I know this isn't ornament related, but I was just wondering, I was just looking at your granny hexagon tutorial. Have you ever considered doing that with the granny square game? Oh, making hexagons with the granny square game. Yeah, I mean, we could. You could technically do any motif with the granny square game, provided it was a motif that allowed you to use different colors, because that's sort of a big part of the actual game. But yeah, absolutely, you could use the hexagons in that format. So far we've only used squares, but that's generally because I had projects in mind for those squares. So I'd have to have a project in mind for the hexagons, and then sort of choose my colors accordingly, and then we could definitely use the hexagons in the game. That'd be cool. Everybody, hello, hello. The Mister is in the house. He's just puppy sitting. And as soon as I'm finished with this little size down project, I will relieve him of his puppy sitting duties. He's been doing a lot of that today. Okay, let's make ourselves a little bird. I think I've got this nice, I'm trying to decide, the original bird I made, I used a size 4 medium weight yarn, so typical, and I used a 4mm hook. So this one is only about a full size down from that, but I was going to use a lighter weight yarn, so maybe like, do I use the pink or do I use, what's a nice color for a bird? I guess I don't have any size 3 red yarn. Tell you what, I'll put some yarns here on the table, and you guys can tell me which one I should make the bird out of. So I'm going to use my D hook, and I want to make a bird that's, let's see if I can find some of the colors. I've got some pretty blue. Do I have a blue that's a nice size 3? That's not bad. It's not really super pretty, but it's not bad. It's a size 3. And I've got, what else have I got? Don't want to pump my camera too much. Vima's dozing off. Vima, have a lovely evening or morning or wherever you're at. I'll catch up with you later. No, that's multi-colored. Oh, that's not bad. That's kind of a lightweight. Okay, there's 4. There's 4. I think I can pick a nice one out of that. Oh, or white. Good point. Deanna makes a point. I do have white. Let's grab that too. Okay, so I've got white. I've got a nice rich purple. I've got a sort of a dusty teal. This is a kind of a pinky purple, and then this is a definite pink. They're all a size 3 lightweight. This one's a little lighter, but that's fine. I have, you know what, I'll use that one instead. This is a definite 3 weight. All right, what are we going to do? Which color shall I use here? It's 1:15 a.m. for Vima. Okay, that is really early. Go back to sleep, Vima. Little sip of my coffee. I kind of like the idea of the white bird. You know what? I think that's just a great idea, Deanna. I think I'm just going to go with white. Let's make a little white dove. Cute. Okay, here we go. With my white bird color and my, what am I using again? My D hook. That's my D hook. I'm going to make a cinch circle because our little bird starts with a cinch circle. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to work 12 double crochet into the circle. So the chain 2 doesn't count. There's 12 double crochet. I'm going to cinch that up nice and tight. And I'm going to slip stitch to join to the first actual double crochet I made. So I'm skipping the chain 2. Now I'm going to make the little heads. I'm going to chain 1, work 4 double crochet, chain 1, slip stitch into the same stitch that I joined in. So right where I am, chain 1, 4 double crochet. chain one and slip stitch into the same place. So the same stitch that I just joined the original circle in. So there's the little head. And here's where we make the magic. We're going to fold the big circle in half at the head. So right there, I'm going to pivot right on this little spot. I'm going to fold that circle in half. Let's make sure that I can still get my yarn. And we're going to work 2 single crochet in each of the stitches that are around the half, sort of if you close this in half. So I'm going to slip my hook through both sides and I'm going to work 2 single crochet in each side. This is really small work. So 2 single crochet. I'm working through both sides of that pinched circle now. I've sort of turned that circle and pinched it in half. So there's 5 sets of stitches to work 2 single crochet into each of. Yes, I know your answer, Ms. Rabbit. Purple, I will make a purple one just for you. Okay, so there's my little head. I folded the circle in half and I worked 2 single crochet into each of those stitches all the way along the bottom. Now I want to make the tail. I'm going to chain 4, slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, so you skip 1, slip stitch, single crochet into each of the next 2, and then slip stitch into the edge of the bird, right where you basically did your last set of single crochets. I'm going to fasten off and leave a little tail so that I can sew the bird down. I don't need a whole lot because I would be sewing it down kind of along the back. Again, this is sort of a 3-dimensional bird. That is a nice little size. So far, how big are we? From nose to tail, 5 centimeters or 2 inches. And of course, it's very, very skinny. It's less than 1 inch. It's like 2 centimeters deep. So nice size little bird. Now I want to add a wing, a beak, and an eye. So the wing, I usually make it in a slightly different color. So I'm going to use I have like a really light yellow, just so it stands out a little bit. So I'm just going to cut a short length of yarn. And I'm going to do the little wing. So I'm going to bring my yarn from the wrong side of the bird to the right side. I'll leave a little bit of tail out for knotting. And then I'm just going to do I'm just embroidering some straight stitches kind of through the same place, just to kind of get the idea that there's like a little wing there. I'm just gonna put those where I want them, and then I will bring this back through to the other side. There we go. So there's just a little hint of a wing there. I'm going to knot these 2 ends together on the back, and then I'll trim whatever's left. This won't show. There we go. And I'm going to use a slightly darker yellow for the beak. I have a nice little bit here. I just want to do 2 little, so small, I barely need any yarn for that. basically right here. So I'm going to bring my yarn up from one side and I want to kind of go around the edge of this middle stitch on the head. You can obviously put that little beak anywhere you feel it makes sense. But I feel like by kind of just doing it right on the edge, it makes it look like it sort of stands out a little bit. So that's good. So I don't really need that to go through a second time. Bring that through to the end. Is that very obvious? No. Okay, so I'm going to take both my tails and slip them under a stitch back here so that they're not sort of showing. I'm going to knot them together and then trim whatever's left. Ooh, if I can even do that. It's going to be very small. Small little knot. Note to self, make sure you cut enough yarn that you can make a knot afterwards. I think I can do it. I can do it. There we go. And then I like to sort of stick my needle in underneath those. There we go. So we've got a little bird. Here's her tail. She just needs a little eye, and I might just add a tiny little bead. Since I'm getting so small, I'm going to use a little black bead for the eye, and I have those elsewhere, so I will do that in a little bit. But that's my bird. I think she's fairly sized down. This is what did I say? This was about 2 inches long, so 5 centimeters or 2 inches, and I think that's the original size. So that's not terrible, but I could make it a bit smaller if I used the thread, but I kind of like that size, so I think I'm going to stick with that size. So that's a size 3 lightweight yarn and a D hook, 3.25 millimeter. And Rogue's taken off. That's fine, guys. I actually have to take off too. So this was a nice little hour. I got a little bit of work done. Like I said, I'm going to leave some notes, information in the description box. So if you guys want to make any of these, or if you're thinking about sizing down any of the other appliques we have, if it's a flat applique and it's just your basic sort of single crochets or half double crochets, generally using a smaller hook and a smaller weight yarn, a lighter weight yarn, will size it down considerably. Likewise, if you use a larger hook and a heavier weight yarn, it'll size. You don't have to change the pattern. When it's something like this present, I did change the pattern just to sort of see like if I could make it a little bit different, and it did. It made it a little narrower. I think it's even a little bit shorter, but that could just be an optical illusion because the number of stitches is the same. I just used single crochet instead of half double crochet. In this case, I used a size 3 weight yarn, and in this case, I used like like almost like a size 1 thread yarn, so it sized down quite a lot, and I like the way that one turned out. And this little guy, even though I used a much smaller hook and a lighter weight yarn, it's still roughly the same size as the original one I made. All of the videos are linked in the description box below of the original videos. It's about the same size, maybe a smidgen smaller than the first ones I made for my birdhouse on my wall hanging that I did back in the spring of 2024. So I do like this size though. I think that's a nice little size. That said, thank you guys for spending some time with me today while I did a little bit of applique work. I'm going to make a few more, and you will probably see several of these this Friday when the calendar unblanket video lands. That is the last unblanket video of the year. We will have completed yet another calendar project together. That'll be the 10th one. It was our 10th anniversary. We did 10 calendar blankets so far, one every year since 2015. It's hard to believe. Anyway, I will have chapters once I work out. This is going to process for a little bit, but I'm going to put in chapters. So if you want to jump through from present to present, from light to little bird. So Tracy, if you're just joining us, I'm going to put chapters in. So if you need to go back and watch it, you can jump ahead to the ones that you want to see. If that's something specific you want to see. I'm going to put notes on all of these in the description box. So if you want to see particulars on hook size, yarn weight, etc., that'll all be there. And the original tutorial links are there as well. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay safe and crafty. It's the craziest time of year, so keep your mentality cool and peaceful. And if life just seems to be a bit too crazy, just hole up in a small dark closet somewhere with a headlamp and do a little crochet. Get your sanity back. I will see you guys Friday. There'll probably be a few more fun posts on the post tab in between now and then, so keep an eye on that. And until then, stay your lovely little selves, and I will see you soon. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Cheers!